See, sisters and brothers, this is what we're called upon to do as believers of God. It's not a matter to find that comfortable place and simply shroud ourselves in that cloak of comfortableness and say, Jesus Christ is my Lord, but you better be careful. That's not what the Church of God is called upon to do. The Church of God is supposed to be vulnerable. It's supposed to be fragile. It's supposed to position itself in such a manner where we're going to be in ministry to the world, we're going to be in ministry to my neighbors across the back fence, and we're going to be in ministry to people that I hold dear, close to my family. I'm going to be a blessing to them. I'm going to love them. I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to intercede for them. And I'm going to believe everything I pray for is going to come in manifestation in their lives in keeping with the will of God. Bless God, I'm going to position myself to be there. And by so doing, you are going to be vulnerable. You are going to be fragile. You are going to lose relationships. People are going to think you're crazy, and people are going to think you're not doing something that you ought to be doing, but you've heard from God and you've positioned yourself to do it. That's what this year will mean for you. But you're not all that interested in hearing, and you're not all that interested in being attentive, you're not all that interested in seeing the will of God played out in your life. You'll be in that comfortable place back here. That's not where you're supposed to be. What is this year going to mean for you? What is this coming year going to mean for you and your family and this church and the people you hold dear and all the things you've been praying for in 2012 and you've been praying for now coming into the dawn of 2013? All the prayers you have prayed and all the things you've sought God for. What is this coming year going to mean for you when those prayers are answered? What is this year going to mean for you? Because with prayers being answered, there's going to mean testimony that you're responsible for. Testimonies that you're responsible for to tell the world how good God is. That may be what it means for you this coming year. What is it going to mean for you to speak to a family member or a spouse and say, honest to goodness, I really do believe that God is calling us or calling me to that next level of education. I never even thought it was possible 2 years ago, but now I believe God is calling me into that next level of education that I need, that's going to help me in my career, or it's going to help me in what I need to do, and that's going to mean we're going to have to be into debt more than I expected. But I believe God is going to be a part of that. What's that going to mean for you? That may very well mean that 2013 may very well financially be a very lean year for you, while at the same time it may be the place where you'll see the most blessing, you'll hear God most that you ever heard, and it'll position you in such a place where the things that you've experienced and you've learned will then be translated into things of blessing and salvation and peace and love and healing to other people you never even thought were even possible. But at the same time, you're in debt that you never thought was even possible before. That doesn't sound right. Be attentive to what God hears, what you hear from God. Be attentive to what things that God's going to share with you. And it may very well put you at a place of vulnerability and being fragile. It may very well. In fact, honest to goodness, I really think that's the business of the church, is to always position itself being vulnerable and fragile for the sake of the will and way of God to be manifested in the world. The plan of God, an unfolding plan of God, is to be is incorporated with blessings and difficulties. It's not a primrose path. It's not a wide open blessings all the way. There will be difficulties, there will be fragileness, and there will be vulnerability. There just will be. So I guess all of this really comes right down to the fact of, do you have any courage? In addition to your faith, in addition to your love, in addition to your growing hope, do you have any courage? Joseph and Mary had courage. I talked last week about Mary wasn't amazed by the shepherds. We don't see Mary being amazed. We see that transitional word of but. But Mary treasured all these things and kept these things in her heart. She wasn't amazed about what the shepherds said. She knew that God was able. She knew what it was to be in the presence of angels. She knew what the plan of God was to bring forth the Messiah in this era, in this season. Mary was brave. Joseph was brave. Brave to still embrace Mary, who was expecting prior to their marriage, and heard from God and had dreams and had visions and said, don't do it, don't lay it aside, don't lay aside her, but rather keep her and embrace her as her wife. as your wife because the child she's carrying will be the Messiah. See, Joseph was brave and courageous. Are we? Because this year is going to call us to be braver and people of more courage than we ever thought was ever possible for us. Because our business as the people of God in Marshall County and in the state of Alabama, in the United States of America, our business is going to be the instruments and the channels of God's grace and mercy to a world that still doesn't know how good He is. Are you